Are you giving Jacksonville a chance? Remember the prince who was promised, your guy? We had the trumpets and the snare
Oh,
drum.
no, I'm well aware.
Okay.
And the first time we brought the trumpets on, when you guys were laughing at me, many times you guys said I was wrong, and then you just had to apologize quietly off the air about it.
We were laughing at you Monday.
When did I tell you they were going to go undefeated until
the Chiefs.
The divisional round in Kansas City, and that was before the brackets or playoffs were set, and yet we have a divisional round game in Kansas City, and the Jaguars are there. So now I must look into the camera and talk to my good friends of Northern Florida and say, this is where our delightful dance must end. However, not permanently, just temporarily, just for the year, because the Chiefs are going to annihilate the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, you know how sometimes when teams get sold and they do franchise valuations side by side, like, wow, if the Clippers sold for this, what's this team worth? I would like to compare the Jacksonville Jaguars as a franchise to another billion-dollar franchise. If we can put it up side by side. They were both founded in 1995. One is the Jags, the other is Patrick Mahomes. They have the same number of playoff wins. Mahomes has more conference championship appearances, about to be 5. Of course, more Super Bowl appearances, more Super Bowl wins, and more league MVPs. And so that is the
projection.
Okay, well, only the bottom part's a projection. Everything else is what he has done. But we all agree he's going to win league MVP. But you guys knew I would talk about Patrick Mahomes, maybe talk about the game the Chiefs beat the Jags in this year by double digits when there had only been one game in the regular season all year where a team lost the turnover battle by at least 3 and then won the game. That was Chiefs over Jags. Maybe you expect me to talk about Andy Reid being 27-4 off a bye. But there's a Chiefs stat I've kind of been holding in reserve that I think will shock you guys.
Okay,
because it's not just that it's Mahomes and the offense. After the Philadelphia Eagles, do you know which team sacked the opposing quarterback the most in the NFL this year? Those Kansas City Chiefs. 55 sacks this season, only the Eagles had more. And Chris Jones won't win Defensive Player of the Year because Nicky Bosa will, but he'll show up on the top 3 of a lot of ballots. So this is a game where Trevor and the Jags, they've had a wonderful season. They have proven the prophecy true, but now they're going up against the kings of the conference in their kingdom, Arrowhead, and they're going to lose. And I think it's going to be more dramatic than the first meeting, which the Chiefs won by 10.
Okay, I must say this. The kingdom's not that scary. All right,
Really?
Cincinnati's gone into the kingdom. Buffalo's gone into the kingdom and won.
In the
But
playoffs,
guess what?
only Cincinnati.
The Prince, well, it was regular season playoffs.
Sure.
The Prince is not Josh Allen or Joe Burrow. And he will go. It ends his Saturday winning streak, the trumpets, the snare drums, the wig. It all ends on Saturday. All right? And look,
Thanks,
there are a few
Arguing
facts.
with him, he agrees.
I'm just saying it with force and authority. But it's true. Nick is right that it will end on Saturday. I'm giving them no more of a chance than the cliches. Nothing is impossible. Any given Sunday. You know, that type of
That's
stuff.
more of a
Anything can
chance
happen.
than I'm giving.
Anything can happen. I mean, we've seen obviously incredible upsets in sports history. That's the only chance. All right? They will get beaten. You said it, Nick. You talked about Kansas City's pass rush. Well, guess who wasn't second in the league in pass rush and who was bottom 10 in sacking the quarterback? Jacksonville. Guess who was like bottom 5 in pass defense? Jacksonville. Oh, and you're facing the best quarterback in the league.
So how'd Jacksonville get here? My
They
God.
were lucky. I'm glad you brought that up. They were lucky.
They were.
Hold on. Not lucky.
He's arguing.
They
but he
made,
agrees.
because you know what?
Back.
I agree with Mark Schlereth, who said luck has the smell of perspiration. They were fortunate.
Well,
Because
Trevor Lawrence, I agree.
but for the fumble return for a touchdown, Tennessee beats them.
Oh, my
in the
God,
final
we're going
minutes,
back
by
to
the
the
way.
Tennessee game?
But for Brandon Staley having brain fog in the second half, the Chargers beat them. So they're fortunate to beat them. Congratulations, you got to the divisional round. Good job, but it ends Saturday.
Okay, you guys, that was a great
I turned
argument
an
between
agreement into
two
a
guys
nice little
who agreed. Like, no, the Chiefs win. He's like, I just said that. All right, you're not going to move at all. Let me try to convince you a little bit. A little bit.
You think Jacksonville?
Well, someone's got to, honestly, for the mechanics of the show to work.
Wow. Okay.
Here's the thing. Can you beat the Chiefs playing straight up? Like, you know what? We're going to line up. It's going to be our guys versus their guys. It won't work. It's not going to work.
What other way is there?
I'm glad you asked. You have to be clever and you have to be aggressive. And I think Doug Pederson, who was willing to call the Philly special on a whim to beat Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, who are better than Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes.
No, they're not.
And got the win.
But go ahead. But they're not.
They are.
But go ahead.
Maybe not. Hey, Dust, can you run the stats on the career record Tom Brady and Bill Belichick versus Andy Reid? We're going to be here for a while. We'll get back to you on that.
Sure.
And here's the other thing, just the aggressiveness that we've seen from Doug Pederson on fourth down. Just like how Brandon Staley, not Brandon Staley that gives up the big leads, old school Brandon Staley, who would go for it on fourth down in Arrowhead to scare you guys.
Doug Pederson's fourth down attempts are different. The announcers and broadcasters like them because they work. They're not playing the results at all in this stuff. They work, so it's fine.
Fourth most, sixth most.
Yeah.
And then this play, it's like, oh, you know what? You think we're going to try to get 1 yard? The play design is smarter. I think he's going to go in there. Hey, nothing to lose. We're a little bit lucky to be here. Let's play carefree. And, it's 4th and 2? Why don't we go for it? Why don't we try to win?
This is where
good try.
Looking back to NFL history is instructive. Because I've called Trevor Peyton Manning 2.0. I think there are some Andrew Luck comps. Andrew Luck, right after a 28-point playoff comeback in the wild card round, played the big dogs of the conference, the New England Patriots, in the next round, and they annihilated him. And then the next year, by the way, they annihilated him again. Peyton Manning, once he finally got his first playoff victory, 2 weeks later, played the big dogs of the conference, the New England Patriots, also a decade prior, very different team, but Brady and Belichick. And the Patriots annihilated him and then annihilated him again the following year. Trevor eventually, at some point, will make a Super Bowl, but he's going to hit his head on the very hard concrete ceiling of the AFC, which is the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, for at least the next few years. And so, listen, it's been a brilliant year. I think a team that goes from 4-8 to winning a playoff game, calling them lucky is a little insulting. But
Fortunate.
Okay, well, we're all fortunate to be here.
But mixed with a heavy dose of luck.
Yeah, I mean, I think at some point we're going to have to acknowledge that over the course of a season, nobody blows everybody out each week. There are good bounces that come into play, this is the Jags had a hell of a run, and it ends on Saturday.
They did. It does end on Saturday, but Nick, I got to give you credit. Your little Saturday stat about Trevor Lawrence has blown up. I heard it on Undisputed mentioned today. And it was Doug Pederson was even asked about it.
Oh, okay.
This is a credit to you. Here we go. It's a credit to your reach.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Yes.
Well, I'm
but it also is evidence
What?
of the silliness of the
It was. How can you say it was silly?
Because the head coach, who's a very good head coach, won a Super Bowl, said... This guy.
Yeah.
I like that. Why don't you go back to Pop Warner? It might be 50-0.
Well, maybe it was. I didn't have that data. Go ahead, Wildes.
Okay. Just before we move on, I might be on the Trevor Lawrence corner.
Okay, no.
You've abandoned it. I might be the guy.
It's free. It's open.
You are
it's
wearing
open.
the color.
It's like Monopoly. It's like,
It is open.
Okay. Mahomes, one of 2 quarterbacks who didn't throw a touchdown last week. It's just the facts. He looks to bounce back this weekend, saying he wants a Super Bowl, but staying in the moment as well. Take a listen. What's on the line for Mahomes?
Go ahead, bro.
Well, look, I'm on the record as saying he's the best quarterback that I've ever seen, forget in the league. But, Nick, you know this, going into the season, it's almost like people are trying to bring him down.
Yeah,
or he's
like
being judged. No, not me.
Oh.
I just didn't pick the team to win.
Or him to win.
Right, because Peyton Manning didn't win it every year. Tom Brady, the GOAT, went a whole decade without winning it. So you don't win it every year no matter how good you are. MVP or the Super Bowl. And that was my thinking. But going into the season, there were some people that thought Joe Burrow was better, that Josh Allen was better. Allen was a lot of people's pick, including mine, for MVP, but some thought he was actually better.
My question, can those people still hold that opinion? Is that a valid opinion to hold?
Let me finish.
Sure.
If Patrick Mahomes gets beat by Trevor Lawrence first, but also Josh Allen or Joe Burrow, whoever he meets in the next round, then yes, people will hold that opinion. Those who held it earlier in the season, he won the MVP, that's great. But people will look at the playoffs, especially when I get it, if they play Buffalo, it'll be on a neutral site. But if he loses to one of those guys, then there will be those that say they are better.
Allen? Why should he? Listen, was anyone saying Stafford's better than Brady last year? Because Stafford beat him. I'm just curious. Was anyone holding that opinion?
Matthew Stafford is not Josh Allen or Joe Burrow.
Okay, well, let's put Joe Burrow in a separate category for a moment. Let's talk about Josh Allen. Because there has been not a single season of Josh Allen's career he's been better than Patrick Mahomes. They've met in the playoffs twice previously. Mahomes won both. So are we saying this is like the heavyweight championship belt, where it's simply as soon as you lose once, you lose it? Is that? No,
I'm not, but I'm saying I think that will be a narrative. And Allen is close. I mean, Mahomes is better, but Allen is great himself.
By no metric is he close.
Really?
Only in people's minds.
He runs the ball so much better. You got to include that.
Okay, that's great. He's a better runner.
That's
by every
valuable.
other metric of how we evaluate quarterbacks, from team success, personal success, consistency, touchdown rate, interception rate, completion percentage, passer rating, any of it, he's not in the same stratosphere. And so if Joe Burrow comes into Arrowhead 2 straight years and beats Patrick Mahomes, that is a fair discussion to have. Because Joe Burrow also was the second best quarterback in football this year. So I think that would be a fair discussion with Burrow. But if saying Allen would be better if he beats him would be no different than if Trevor beats him. Is it fair to say why?
Josh Allen is way better than Trevor Lawrence right now.
But based on what? I'm just curious.
Based on the eye test.
Oh, there it is.
Based on based on running ability. He is the focus of his team's offense.
But here's the problem. He can't help himself but be the focus of his team's offense. Even when he doesn't need to be, he makes himself.
Okay, but he's great. Trevor Lawrence is not as good as Josh Allen,
that's fine. That's a legitimate opinion to hold. I understand that. The point I'm making is saying that if Allen beats him, he gets to be considered the top dog. That standard clearly simply means if you beat him, you get to be considered top dog. We are not taking in body of work at all. We're not taking in anything that you've done.
We're taking in body of work in the playoffs. He's got 17 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. He's got the 3rd highest passer rating in the playoff history. Now, Mahomes is number 1.
Yes.
But if he beats him, and obviously his playoff numbers will have to be good in that game to beat Mahomes, he will have great postseason numbers. Regular season be darned, all right? And he will have beaten him in the playoffs. So now, I'm going to say this. I will not. I'm saying what the narrative will be from some corners. I still will view Mahomes as better. But you can't act like there are going to be those out there.
Though. Let's just quickly play out that same logic. You're saying if Allen beats him, he will have done X, Y, and Z. If Trevor goes in and beats him, his playoff record will be undefeated. It will include the 4th largest playoff comeback in history with 4 straight passing touchdown drives, and then going into Arrowhead and beating Patrick Mahomes.
Much smaller sample size.
It will be a 2-game sample versus a 7-game sample. I understand.
A big difference.
But he also will have 0 losses in his career in the playoffs to Patrick Mahomes, to which Josh Allen has 2. So if we're going to, all I'm asking.
You're acting like there's no nuance.
No.
No one is going to say Trevor Lawrence is better than Patrick Mahomes unless Lawrence does something.
Because he hasn't been prematurely anointed the way Josh Allen has been.
Really?
Yes.
He came out of the draft prematurely anointed.
Okay, but he has proven all of that correct. And he wasn't prematurely anointed. He was just drafted number 1 overall.
But he was viewed as the next guy.
And he is.
Well, then why hasn't he been prematurely anointed?
No, he wasn't anointed as already a league MVP. Already the best player.
Because his rookie year was horrible.
The promise.
And so I would just love for Joe Burrow to get 50% of the earned praise that Josh Allen has gotten unearned.
Has he been as good in the playoffs as Josh? I know his team got to the Super Bowl.
Joe Burrow has never had a bad playoff game.
Statistically, he hasn't been close.
He's never had a single bad playoff game. Josh Allen's had 3. So I would argue.
He's got 7 touchdowns in 5 games.
Yep. Yes.
Josh Allen has 17 in 7 games.
Okay, yeah, but another way to look at it
He's got 3 interceptions, Allen.
5 games.
Burrow has 2 interceptions.
I understand that. He's never had a single bad playoff game.
I got confused. I'll be honest with you, I got confused the last 30 seconds. Hey, Jalen Hurts playing the Giants. He's going to look like the MVP. We discuss next.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.